They had Mjolnir, and they should have had less near. You know what I'm saying?
This is We Have Concerns. Hi, Jeff Cannata.
Hi, Anthony Carboni.
Hello, concerned citizens. Jeff, truly we live in a wondrous age.
Indeed. Just look out the window every single day. It's wondrous.
It's wondrous. I look out every single day and I go, what a wondrous time to be alive.
The AI blossoming. It's springtime and the AI is blossoming. You
can smell the AI in the air.
Yeah. The climate is changing all around us. What a wondrous time.
Truly, an exciting and wondrous and beautiful time. Beautiful time.
Yeah.
I've got something that surprisingly is a bit of a follow-up on something that we talked about a few weeks ago, but also is actually some very exciting and wonderful news. A few people sent this into the good old Discord because honestly, it's amazing. Everybody was right to send it.
Excited. Yes, let's do it. What is it? What's happening? What do we got? Where are we going? What new breakthrough have we achieved?
12 years ago, a cycling accident left Gert Jan Oskum paralyzed.
Oh, Gert.
He had fully paralyzed legs, partially paralyzed arms, spinal cord damaged in his neck.
Yes. Sad story.
Sad story. I might have set you up. Don't worry. I let you know it gets better.
Okay.
But you're right. I maybe crash zoomed into the bad times a little quickly.
It was fast.
It was fast.
I got a little whiplash there. Not as bad as Gert.
Not as bad as Gert did. So for the past, 12 years, Gert has been doing all the things that you would expect in terms of physical therapy, in terms of, all kind, in terms, honestly, there's not tons you can do.
Yeah.
I have somebody in my family who is paraplegic with semi use of upper body, so not quite quadriplegic. And I got to tell you, there's not tons you can do. However, because Gert does not live in the United States, Gert is able to participate in cool new experimental things without
going bankrupt.
Yeah, without going bankrupt.
It's a strange set of circumstances.
It's weird, I don't know. It feels like whoever's the richest should be the healthiest, and that's just my feeling. Maybe I'm just old fashioned, but I think you should only be healthy if you can afford to do so. That's just the way I was raised.
If you want to be healthy, maybe try harder.
Yeah, maybe pull yourself up by your own bootstraps, which is hard for Gert to do, but think about trying it. So Gert tried a lot of different things, but something new came up a few years ago, and it's connected to something that we talked about a few weeks ago. We talked about AI, boo, being implanted into people's brains, boo. But that allows computers to understand what people are thinking.
Yay?
Yay? Kind of.
Yeah, we were talking about controlling a computer with your mind, potentially.
Right. And the computer having natural language processing and being able to know what you're thinking and understand your thoughts. And it was only, I would say, 30 to 40% accurate, which is still wildly more accurate than you would expect mind reading to be. But maybe it can explain my dreams. My dreams, record my dreams to me. No, it can barely record you saying, hello, how are you?
Well, it's baby steps.
But it gets that it's a general greeting.
Okay. Hey,
we're at the aloha stage. We're at the shalom stage.
Yeah.
I don't know. Either said hello or goodbye or cool. I don't know.
One of those.
I got to get to what this is because otherwise people are going to think that I've been unnecessarily hard on Gert in the beginning of this. Yeah. But those are very complicated signals, right? The idea that you're going to pin down impulses in the brain into full, complete, complex sentences.
Yeah.
That's intense, right?
Yeah.
But there are things that are easier, even though they don't sound like they'd be easier. Like, what does your brain do? What is the impulse that it sends when you want to move, when you want to walk, when you want to open and close your fist? And we know that people have been working on things like this. We've seen, there's tons of videos online of people that have, the prosthetic arms and legs, that sort of the hands that move when they need to like crunch, when they need to make a fist or hold on to something. And it's done by, kind of motion of like control of like muscles in the upper arm or the upper leg, right? So we know that there are electrically impulse controlled things like that. But the brain interfaces, the real good shit, Jeff. This is what we want. This is what we want. And there's a team being led by a neuroscientist at the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology, Gregoire Courtine.
Always on time there.
Always on time.
Yeah.
And Gregoire and his team has been working on brain-spine interfaces since like 2016. And they've published a lot of like really cool stuff. They've done a lot of really cool stuff with brain-spine interfaces. The kind of thing where it's like, you think, they're trying to get it to where you can think about walking, you can think about moving, and you can move. And in 2018, they demonstrated that when combined with intensive training, technology that stimulates the lower spine with electrical pulses can help people with spinal cord injuries to walk again. Okay.
Exciting. Yeah.
It's a huge deal. And Gert was one of the people in these trials. And after 3 years, his improvements plateaued. Okay, like there was something that it's kind of like a pre-programmed stimulation thing. It generates these kind of like robotic stepping movements, right? Like you think I need to take a step, and then you sort of like your leg just sort of does, and there's not a feeling of connection. Gert sort of explained it as like I couldn't feel the connection. It felt like the simulation was controlling me as much as I was controlling the simulation.
So just to step back, this is a device that is implanted on his spine that sends electrical current when he thinks about it, and stimulates his lower body into making stepping movements.
Yes, this is basically, you think about walking, and it stimulates your nerves and your muscles and everything the same way your brain would to walk.
Okay.
And it's pretty, it was pretty good. He was around to like, he was able to just sort of like walk around for a little bit.
Amazing. Already amazing.
Very limited steps, but was able to sort of do it. No real control over fine motor skills or anything like that.
But he kind of felt like he was initiating the process, but then was compelled sort of out of his control.
Yeah, I sort of think of it as, okay, do you remember when you're a kid and they're trying to teach you programming? They teach you programming with a little robot on a screen. Like there's a little character, and you go, now tell the robot walk 10 steps, then tell the robot turn left.
The turtle. There's a little logo, right?
Yes. Yeah. For our age, it would be the logo turtle. Maybe for younger listeners, it was something like MIT Scratch. It was an actual picture of a robot, something like that. But it's the sort of thing where they try to teach you like the logic of what it means. And I sort of picture it that way, where Gert was like, take a step, and then it takes a step. And he doesn't feel it. He just it sort of happens, and he sees it, and he knows that he made it happen, Yeah.
So I imagine it feeling something akin to, telling a person to move my arm. They pick up my arm and move it for me.
Right.
So it feels like it's happening to me rather than me doing it, right?
Yeah. So the different part of this is the new chippy in the brain.
Okay. What's this chippy about?
We got this new chippy in the brain that is very similar to the chippy that reads the language that we were talking about a couple weeks ago. This is brand new chippy. Great chippy. We've come so far in terms of brain chippies in just the last few years. This one connects to the brain and then to the top of the spine. Gert wears a backpack, a sort of backpacky looking device. And then there's an implant in the bottom of the spine, and it creates a bridge between the brain and the spine, which he didn't have before.
Okay.
And this bridge, this brain-spine interface, this is the new hotness. It's got, it works with the old spinal implant, but pairs it with two disc-shaped implants that are inserted into his skull that controls two 64 electrode grids that rest against a membrane covering his brain.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a huge internal-external interface.
Yeah, full-on brain interface.
Yeah. Big deal thing.
Yeah.
So, this basically detects electrical activity in the cortex, right? Your outer layer of the brain. This is the real thinky layer, right? Then that signal is wirelessly transmitted, decoded by the computer in the backpack, sends it wirelessly. The computer in the backpack then transmits it to the spinal pulse generator. So you've got brain going to Wi-Fi backpack, going from Wi-Fi backpack into the base of the spine. Okay.
And why do we need the backpack?
The backpack takes these signals because when you think about the size of a chip that'll go into somebody's brain, very small. So what you need is the computer that can read the AI data and go, this means that you're trying to take a step.
Okay, so the backpack has a computer in it.
The backpack basically has the computer in it, and then the computer takes that instruction and sends it to the spinal implant, which previously just got, take step now, right? And now gets the full range of thoughts that have been decoded and can make much, much more subtle and controlled movements and allows Gert to do a huge number of things. I'm going to pull up a video for you and we can sort of describe what's happening here to everyone. But it's really, really fascinating looking.
All right. There's Gert.
So there's Gert, and you see Gert sort of walking, and you see somebody next to him as he's using a walker is looking at the data on the computer, right? Uh-huh. You can see he's connected by a cable that's sort of like figuring everything out. But also, he's walking.
He's getting out of his wheelchair, standing up. He's holding onto a walker, but his legs are moving.
Mm-hmm. Now
it looks like he has a device on his skull.
Yes. Now that walker is what he's using while he's at the lab doing training. When he's at home, he doesn't necessarily use that walker. You can see him here using a cane. Sometimes he doesn't use anything at all.
Wow. Amazing.
It's wild.
Now, does he describe? Does it go over what his mental process? I mean, does he have to concentrate on walking? Is he thinking like left foot, right? Is it as granular as that, or does he just think about walking the way we do, which is, I'm going to get up now?
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. That's the whole point. So
he's not having to command each individual moment of that process. He's just naturally thinking about the movement.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So
it's incredible.
There's no extra mental exertion or effort. His quote is, "The simulation before was controlling me, and now I'm controlling the stimulation by my thought. When I decide to make a step, the simulation will kick in as soon as I think about it." After using 40 rehabilitation sessions with the brain-spine interface, there's a lot of things he can do. He can do fine motor movements of his ankles. He can twist his hips. He can take larger and smaller steps. He can go up and down stairs. He can stop in the middle of going up and down stairs. He can do things like, if you think about standing up, walking up to the bar, waiting in a crowd, sort of slowly nudging your way around the crowd, ordering your drink, grabbing your drink, going back to the bar. this is the sort of stuff that they try to show robots doing that robots can't do. Right.
Right.
These small movements, these sort of like, oops, somebody's kind of coming by at the bar. I'll take a time.
I don't think robots should be drinking personally, but maybe
if the
that's
robots,
part of it.
If the robots of age, which none of them are yet, I don't have a problem with it. The issue is like what's the big dog's only like 6, 7.
Exactly. Much too young.
Yeah.
We shouldn't. I just feel like we should be all on the same page before we allow the robots to get inebriated.
No, listen.
That's all I'm saying.
This is what a lot of activists are saying is before the AI becomes a daily part of our lives, we need to codify what's the drinking age for robots.
Exactly.
Can robots operate machinery while they're high? I don't think they should be able to.
No.
They
are machinery.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
See, that's the trick is like, then it becomes a slippery slope because the robot's like, it's like, hey, do you know why I pulled you over? Because you're not allowed to operate heavy machinery after you've smoked. And the robot's like, I weighed 400 pounds. I'm
just walking here. Yes, no, but you are heavy machinery. I pulled you over on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Because you are heavy machinery.
See, and that's now on that one, I come down on the side of the robots.
Should be able to. I'm walking here.
Robots should be able to walk. It's like what I love is in our imagination of what will happen when AI happens. The cops are still the bad guys.
Yeah,
like maybe AI will happen and it will do horrible things to us, but we're both up against the police officers. You know what I mean? We both think that cops have gone too far. So these are kind of the fine motor skills and complicated things that you wouldn't expect people to be able to do. The other day, he needed to paint something around his house. And he was like, I'm just going to get up and I'm going to paint it.
Wow.
And rather than call somebody, rather than try to have somebody help, he's like, it's this small thing that I've got to paint. Like, I'm just going to get up. I'm going to paint it.
And he was able to walk to where he needed to go and live his life.
Yeah. And paint it. Now, the thing is, for whatever reason, I think I understand why they don't go too far into it. Lower body is easier than upper body. And I think it's got to do with hands and fingies and, very fine motor control. Like obviously that stuff is very hard.
Sure.
So the painting is like grabbing the brush and actually painting something around the house, or grabbing a drink at the bar. You can do stuff like that. If you were to try to do anything that had like finer motor skills, or you needed to do like anything that had fine arm movements, he would have a little bit of a problem with that.
Oh wait, our boy Gert, he's paraplegic or quadriplegic?
He is paraplegic with limited upper body movement.
Okay, so this interface is not just about controlling his legs; it's also aiding in controlling his upper body as well.
It's trying to, yeah. It's trying to, but right now they're focusing more on the lower body because that's really what they want first. And there's a lot of stuff that requires spinal control that is not part of this device. Like, so this is restoring walking, but things like bladder and bowel control not targeted by the device.
Oh,
right?
That's a bummer. Yeah.
Because that's a completely different set of systems that requires a completely different set of things, right?
Do they think that's possible?
Now, I mean, on an infinite timeline, sure. They're not saying it's going to happen real soon or anything like that. But they're like, look, we definitely want to be able to do that. But, we're only just now putting chips in people's head, Jeff.
Yeah, we gotta really figure that out first, I guess. Now, you said that this is something to do with AI. Is AI assisting in this in some way?
The machine learning. So the machine learning is basically doing the same thing it did with language processing, right? So if you think about it, what was happening was they train your brain on. In the case of the language one, it's hours and hours of podcasts. For this, they trained Gert's brain on hours and hours of physical therapy, trying to move, trying to move a specific muscle, trying to move a specific thing, training all of what his brain does when he tries to do that.
So it's it's sort of forming that interface, that network of commands based on what your brain is, how your brain is firing.
Exactly.
By having you fire those commands off over and over and over again. And the machine learning is going, okay, well, this is what happens. This is what happens. This is what happens.
And rather than tailor it directly to Gert, which would probably be easier, right? It would be easier if, you had a researcher watching and being like, this is what happens when Gert thinks about this. Right. They want to create a machine learning model.
Yeah.
So somebody else could use this too. So, I mean, the computer basically has that model and gets the impulses from the brain implant, sends it to the spine implant as a set of instructions. Now, what's really interesting about this, so they're also saying, like, in terms of things like you're talking about, like, will he eventually be able to do all of these different things? They're thinking about this in terms of being part of a holistic, multidisciplinary rehabilitation system for people. So just because they're building a brain chip doesn't mean we should stop. For instance, they're talking about like stem cell therapy, right, to repair spinal cords.
Yeah.
Eventually, they want these treatments to be so widespread that you would be doing all of them at the same time. You'll be getting the stem cell therapy at the same time you're getting physical therapy at the same time you have this chip implanted. And so all of them will be able to help you out more holistically. And something that's
at the same time that someone is ordering drinks for you at the bar.
Right.
Just all of it at the same time.
All of it at the same time. Like, you should be able to get drunk with a robot at the same time this is happening.
Yeah, no, I think that's the dream.
Yeah. Which puts this at least, 10, 15 years out, because we must make sure the robots are old enough to drink, Jeff. No, it's not about aging the whiskey. We cannot let underage robots drink.
You're right.
Especially the weaponized ones.
Well, you're telling me we can conscript them into the army, but they can't drink? Now, in what other system do we have a lower age of being able to fight in the army than it is to drink an alcoholic beverage? That just doesn't make any sense at all.
Honestly, it sounds inhumane. So, this is absolutely amazing. But something else that's going on, I think, is like very, very cool. So my dad had a friend years ago, humble brag. My dad had a friend years ago, a coworker, that got into an accident while swimming and lost the use of their legs. And this was years and years and years ago, right? Before any of this stuff. And through physical therapy and practice, this person was able to walk, stand up, sit down, and walk. And it's a very rare thing, but it can happen. And because what's happening is basically it's the way that person's spine was injured. They couldn't feel their legs, but they could still send their brain's instructions were still kind of getting there. It was about reteaching the legs what to do, even though they couldn't feel everything. Right.
Yeah.
And so for my dad's friend, he was like, if you ever watch this guy walk, particularly like upstairs or onto an escalator or something, you would see him look down and grab something just to make sure he's taking the right step.
Because he's not getting the sensory input from the legs.
Couldn't feel anything that was happening. You would see him look before he got up from a table or sit down in a chair. Now, what's happening is after 40 rehabilitation sessions using the brain-spine interface, Gert began to be able to voluntarily move his legs and feet without, the whole device connected to him.
Oh, wait, what? So he doesn't have the backpack on?
Gert was able, after 40 sessions with this thing, with the brain-spine interface, Gert was like, hey, it's not huge movements. It's not like very coordinated movement, but I can move my legs and feet a little bit. And that was not possible after sessions with the old spinal thing, the one that was just sending this, step now, step now, step now. This is suggesting that the training sessions with the device are prompting recovery in nerve cells that were not completely severed during his injury, but were not being used. And the use of those nerve cells is strengthening them and causing them to repair.
Incredible. Man, the human body is amazing.
So basically, the idea here is basically, let's say 99, think of like a big old, think about like an internet cable, an Ethernet cable, or, and like the
series of tubes.
The inside of the Ethernet cable is a bunch of like braided copper wire, right?
Yeah.
And you do something where you run your chair wheel over and over this wire over and over again. It happens. Or maybe it's a game controller wire or something. Yeah. Whatever that wire is in your office that you fucked up by moving back and forth over it with your chair wheels and thinking every time, I really got to move that cable.
Really got to move that cable.
I really got to move that cable.
Yeah.
And it kept working. It kept working. It kept working for a long time. But if you were to open up the cable, you would see that like you were severing those little tiny internal wires. Yeah. What's basically happened is, let's say 98% of those internal wires were busted in Gert's spine.
Yeah, the controller's not working. We can get the controller to work, but not every single of the cables. It's just not enough for the controller to work.
Right. And so you stop using the controller, right?
Yes.
So there weren't enough strands connected to be useful to Gert, and he could not walk, so he did not walk. But by stimulating those nerve cells that are still working, by stimulating those connections that are still there, it's causing the body to basically, essentially notice them more and go, oh, we're using these. I got to send something. I got to repair this. Let's send some resources to repair this.
Wild.
Yeah. It's nuts. It's nuts. So when you think about the future and mixing and matching all of these therapies together, think about something like that along with stem cell therapy to regenerate stuff. Not only are you regenerating stuff, but you're regenerating stuff that your body is actively already aware of and is trying to heal, which would probably also then, like, these things become complementary.
Yeah.
They begin to just work together.
Right. It's like you say they mix together like, I don't know, like a cocktail, to use a metaphor that robots won't understand.
Or they will understand and they shouldn't. We're just kind of saying things like this and looking at our robot audience to see if any of them kind of like look away or take a deep breath or like nervously check their robot phones or whatever, which is just them.
Yeah.
We're just checking to see. I don't know. But listen, robots, if you're going to drink, we'd like you to do it with us at home.
Do it responsibly. Yeah. You know what? You can talk to us about anything, robots.
Mm-hmm. We talk to you about everything, whether we want to or not, robots.
That's right.
We've opted into data collection, and that's a two-way street, robots.
We're literally teaching you how to read our minds, robots. So the least you can do is be honest with us about the drinking.
Robots. This is a robot intervention.
This is a robot. There's nothing more annoying when you're having a robot intervention than when the robot just starts checking its robot phone.
Yeah.
Because I know you have that functionality already. You don't even need the phone. It's an affectation robot.
And we probably programmed it into you. And I don't know why we did.
You learned it by watching us.
Yeah. Just like your love of the military. Now, this is a really amazing thing. However, we want to just talk about it's not an easy road. This requires, obviously, they got to open up your brain. They got to open up your spine. This is multiple multiple intensive surgeries, right? And any surgery for somebody who is injured in the way that Gert can be extremely dangerous. Right. The immune system's affected, physical systems are affected, and a spinal surgery ain't easy for anybody. So these are really intensive surgeries. They're always, and these are things that are implanted into your body. These are foreign objects. So you're talking about risks of infection, risks of hemorrhage, risks of all kinds of things. But, they do say like, hey, if the person is willing to go through it, because it can be a lot of pain and it can be a lot of recovery just to begin using this stuff, the risks of those huge things are very, very small. But it is not a walk in the park. Not until it's done.
And then hopefully
it's a walk in the park.
Yeah.
But the recovery is from these surgeries and the amount of surgeries that need to be done. And then it's a lot of, the main part of this process is intense rehabilitation and physical therapy, which is already a lot, So
is our boy Gert like the only one that has attempted this so far, or is he just an example of several people have tried it?
Gert is the guy with this device. The next device is Courteen's team is recruiting 3 people now that are going to work on the arm stuff. It's going to be an implant that specifically works on arms. And then hopefully, it'll be a thing where you get multiple implants, or there will be one all-encompassing implant. That'll depend on like the physical nature of the spine injury, right? Because what you've got to do is basically like anywhere where there's a connection severed, you need things that are going to bridge that connection. So, but it's really fascinating. And let me tell you, this very exciting to me because it's being done in academia. It's being done by people. It's being tested humanely on people who understand this stuff. This is different than Elon Musk coming out 2 years ago and being like, we've killed a lot of pigs.
Right.
Listen, we've killed a lot of pigs for what? I don't know.
So many pig deaths. We're just trying to stick that chip in there.
We just got it. We're gonna stick a chip in there for what? I don't know yet. It just feels like eventually we're going to need to stick chips into brains. That's so fucking weird.
Yeah.
That's so fucking weird.
Yeah.
This is for the specific solving of a problem that's affecting people. This is for fixing their lives, and it's being done in academia. And that just makes me feel a lot better than a wealthy guy going, eventually we're going to need to put chips into everybody's brains. So we got to start with these pigs today.
Yeah. I agree with that. I also think that this is one of those examples, there's a lot. We started this whole conversation saying you look outside your window and AI is blossoming. There's lots of discussion about machine learning and artificial intelligence, to use that phrase. And this is an example of one of those things that machine learning is making possible. It's just, there's too much data for a human being to be able to do this. And this stuff, protein, all this stuff that's replaced, your what was the old PlayStation thing, folding at home,
Yeah.
Like AI is doing stuff on a scale that human beings couldn't, and that computers really couldn't up until now, because it's able to process it at a rate that is inhuman, but it is. We're going to have breakthroughs like this in medicine. I think we're entering a new frontier of that.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating to me. I think it's really exciting. And it's the other side of the quote unquote AI discussion, which is, hey, machine learning is going to allow us to make inferences, make connections, make breakthroughs that we would have taken us decades, centuries to do as human beings, because you just can't do it fast enough.
Well, this is what's interesting. It's funny that you bring up the speed of this and that you bring up, PlayStation, like distributed computer and games and stuff like that. Do you know what the latency on this implant is? And I found this incredibly interesting. It takes...
Well, I will just say, before you even reveal it, we're looking at like what 8 milliseconds or less for like imperceptible video game controller. You want about like 8 milliseconds, right?
60 frames a second is 16.7 milliseconds per frame. Right. And you're right. You do for things to feel right. You want your inputs to feel like they're working at more than the rate of a frame a second. Right. Yeah. This is 300 milliseconds from thought to motion. That's as fast as it needs to be. Are they going to get it faster
in that context? Yeah.
Are they going to get it faster? Sure, they may try. But that's the thing is like there's input that we see so quickly, and our processing of that input feels instant, but isn't. Like the amount of time it takes for certain visual information to actually get to your brain. By the time you're seeing that 16.7 millisecond frame in the world, that frame's already 3 or 4 frames behind. Yeah. Like there's lag, like we always talk about TV lag and controller lag, and the amount of like, that thing where like you're on a Zoom call and you can feel when the connection's just like a little slow on a Zoom call and it causes you to talk over each other and stuff. And part of the reason of that is the body processes things much slower than we think it does. And so any external lag just compounds that, right?
So fascinating. Yeah.
And so it's amazing to me that 300 milliseconds is the fastest this thing needs to go to work.
Well, I wonder if they'll find that needs to change for the upper body.
They might. And here's, just because it works at 300 milliseconds doesn't mean it couldn't be, it couldn't be more deft control.
Yeah.
At a higher speed. I just think it's fascinating that all it needs is 300 milliseconds to work, because you're right. Like to us, when you hear that and you hear that in terms of technology, we're like, that's slow. If that was my ping, I would tell my mom to call back later. I would just be like, no, the video's too slow. Mom, restart your router because I can't do this.
Yeah.
But I love it. It's amazing how simple and complex this stuff is, right? Like the idea of, we'll take an electrical signal from your brain and we'll just replicate it in a different tiny chip down at the bottom of your body. Like that actually sounds like simple technology to us now.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
wild.
But it's taken years and years and years for them to be able to get there. But now that we're here, it's just kind of like, we're at a wild place where the mixing of off-the-shelf technology and high-end stuff is baffling to me. Because, right, like there's a part of this that's incredibly complicated. And that is the part that's like, hey, we need to figure out how to wire an implant to a spine to send the right impulses to the right nerves, right? Like that takes the knowledge of years and years and years and years of medical research. But then like, but the implant itself is really easy. You could probably just buy it. No, the implant's actually really large and simple compared to like a lot of the stuff that we do now.
Yeah. It's what the thing that's so incredible to me is that, obviously there's a long way to go to get all the way there, but the indication that it might work a little bit like training wheels for the brain, spine, that you could literally do this long enough and the brain's like, right. No, I get it. Okay. I got it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. No. It's weird because it depends on the injury and stuff like that. But it's like the story of the guy who lost his ability to speak after an accident and was able to reteach himself to do it by singing first. Like he found out his brain was ready to sing before it was ready to speak.
Yeah.
It's this thing
That's every morning for me.
Yeah. I wake up, I throw open the sash.
That's right.
I look out at the blooming AI and I hold out my finger and a drone lands on it. And I whistle at the drone and the drone whistles back. And I say, what a beautiful day to be alive here.
And the robots yell back, "You're drunk."
It's better me than you, robots. You're too young. But no, the idea of one connection is busted, but you can teach your brain to go around a different connection is kind of fascinating.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Truly.
I love this. Thank you to everybody who sent this story in, because this is really lovely. And
we're rooting for our boy Gert. I hope someday we're able to call him Go Gert. No?
If you've heard a story, no, shut up. You shut up. If you've heard a story lately that you think everybody would like to see or hear about on the podcast, you can send it to us. You can either leave it in our subreddit. You can send it to wehaveaconcern@gmail.com, or you can do it the ultra secret, amazing, best way. I think we're ready to let you in on the secret.
Can we reveal it? Have we gotten the thumbs up to reveal it?
I think it's time to reveal the secret. Cool direct line to us and also other cool people.
It's the Discord, ladies and gentlemen, the Discord. And you can get a ticket to the Discord that'll work forever for just $1 per month by visiting our Patreon, patreon.com/wehaveconcerns.
That's right. When we say it'll work forever, Jeff means as long as you continue paying.
Which is, again, we hope forever.
Forever. And remember, if you give a little bit more a month, you get a little bit more a month, including bonus episodes, extra audio, monthly Q&A videos with us, and all kinds of. We've got what do we have? We have 7 years of back content on there.
A lot. It's a lot of back content. It's probably too much.
Honestly,
delete half of it. Honestly,
get in on it now before we delete half of it. Patreon.com/wehaveconcerns.